And today we're making some pizzas using the dehydrated tomatoes that we dried out last year and vacuum packed them, and they've been sitting down in the root cellar, and we decided to give this a try like I said I was going to do. So my wife got out everything for one of her very simple pizza doughs, and the basil is still growing there. It's not doing all that fantastic, but it's growing, and it's just a super simple, quick, easy to make pizza dough that she does. So you need to start out with 1 cup of warm water, and she's got that finger that tells her when it hits 105 degrees there, and that's there is to get the yeast working. So she's got her warm water, and she's got her bowl there for the mixer warmed up too, because this time of the year it can get pretty cold there, and you want to make sure the yeast stays warm when it's blooming. And then they call for 1 package of active dry yeast, except for we don't use packages. We buy it bulk at the Amish store. So she throws in like about 1 tablespoonful, I think that was. And we just keep it in a plastic container in the refrigerator, and the yeast will last for, a couple months. And it's really cheap when you buy it that way. Same stuff too, just not in little individual packages. Here's a shirt she just got done embroidering. She's been doing all different themes on different sweatshirts, and that one she's done a lot of leaves on it. So just stir the yeast up in the warm water to get it going there. And once it's blooming, then you can move on. And at that point, you can put in a ½ teaspoon of salt, or around that. And then it takes 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So you're going to put a little bit of olive oil in there to get the dough going. And then the next thing is, this one just uses an all-purpose flour. And it calls for 2.5 to 3.5 cups. She starts with 2.5 cups in the bowl there to start within the mixer. And then she'll add some more as needed later. We'll go on to that in a second. So it's really is a quick and simple recipe, because it pretty much just all goes in one bowl, and then it goes over to the stand mixer there. And there we go. And you notice she has the dough hook on that mixer there to get it going, and then just lock it down and turn it on and let it run. She sets a timer for 5 minutes. She usually lets this go for, exactly 5 minutes. Recipe was a little different, but this is what she does. So it starts mixing there, and then this is the point at which you can start adding the extra flour. You have to keep an eye on the dough as it's mixing up there. And the way she explained it to me was, if it's sticking to the sides of the container and the bottom of the container, you need more flour. And that move right there is not recommended by anyone that's not an experienced spatula user in the mixer, because that could get dangerous. But anyhow, she's got got the dough hook starting to whip it up there, and you can see it's still stuck pretty good around the edges. So in a couple of seconds, she'll be adding a little bit more flour there. And just watch it mix for a while longer, and she'll just continue until it looks like it's all one big ball that's just flopping around on the hook. And I must say, this mixer, she uses this thing all the time, and I don't know how old it is. It's quite old, but this thing really stood up good and really works great. And there you can see it's starting to turn into one ball there. And it's still a little bit just sticking to the bottom, so, right there you can see a little tiny bit. So she's just going to add a little more flour till that all gets just stuck up in the ball there. So the amount of flour that you use is really not an exact number. And after 5 minutes, it's done. Time to get it off the hook there. It does get itself wrapped around there, kind of a little rubbery thing. And the little scraper, really helps. You don't want to touch it with your hands at this point because they'll stick to them if they're not greased or floured. A couple seconds worth of scraping later, and there it is. The dough's pretty much ready to go. Now the only thing left to do is you have to let it rise. So what she has is just another stainless steel bowl that's nice and clean, and she put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of it so it doesn't stick. And we're just gonna eventually get this wad of dough out of that one bowl and put it into the other one. We're getting close now. There it goes. So I just mix it around a little bit with the oil, and now it's time to let it rise for an hour. And a little bit of she puts plastic wrap on it. Some people, I guess, put a towel over it, but plastic wrap works for us. And my dining room table is still sitting there in a pile on the floor, but she's just gonna set it over there under the wood stove for just about an hour and let it rise. So in the meantime, I'm going to try to bring these tomatoes back to life. I don't know what's going to happen. I know the little ones come back pretty good, but we've never done big slices like this before, and I'm real excited to see how they come out. And they actually did get stuck together pretty good in there. I guess I shouldn't have vacuum packed them that tight. And they are a little bit sticky when you vacuum pack them too, but I just really couldn't get them to all pull apart at that point in time. So my wife said, okay, just throw them in the bowl and put some warm water in there, and we'll rehydrate them and then see what happens. So I got the ones that I could that were loosest apart, so I could flatten them in the bottom there. And she got some real hot water out of her faucet. Got about a cup of that she's going to put in there, and we're going to let them just sit for just about an hour and see what happens. And I really can't wait to try them because these were some of the real good heirloom tomatoes. And that's rehydrating. I'm just going to grab some basil leaves over here. And it's amazing how good that stuff smells when you start breaking the leaves off it. It's just an aroma that fills up the whole room. So I have some fresh basil on the pizza to go with the tomatoes. Kind of like a pizza margarita, but we're going to put the tomatoes on the bottom, hoping that the cheese will help hold the moisture in and not dry them out. So here we are, about a little over 45 minutes later. I'm trying to peel them apart, and it was pretty successful soaking them. They did come back to life, and they're a little bit delicate when you're trying to pull them apart here, but I did get just about all of them to separate, and they all did come back so that they were nice and moist and soft. So looks like it's gonna work out good. Like I said, they're a little tender to pull apart. Not real pretty looking, but they smell good. So this is an hour later. Got it out from under the wood stove, and you can see how the dough had risen there. And now it's time to start doing rolling out the doughs. Now we decided that we wanted just to make two about 12-inch pizzas with this, because I wanted pepperoni on mine, and she wanted just cheese and tomatoes on hers. So she decided to break it down into two instead of just rolling out one big one. So again, it's you get the dough out of there, and let's cut it in two here. And then it's time to start rolling one of these out. nice having that mat with the thing on it. She's been looking for another one just like it, but really, we've seen some that are close, but not the same. And then there's that big old rolling pin I made her a while ago for pretty much pies and stuff like that. But she uses it for everything, so gonna have to make a little bit smaller one, I think, though. A little bit big for 12-inch pizzas. But we're not Italian, so we don't really throw them up in the air and spin them around or anything exciting when we make pizzas. We just roll them out a little bit and roll them, just pick them up with a rolling pin like that, and throw them in a pan. We put parchment paper on it. Now you can put cornmeal on it, not use the parchment paper if you want, but we find the parchment paper works better for us. Less messy, and it's nothing sticks and it comes out good. So there's one pretty much 12-inch dough ready to go there, and the next one just has to be rolled out again, just like the first one. So that didn't take long, and all ready to start putting the goodies on them. Alright, so over here to the other counter, and first thing to do is put a little bit of olive oil on there. Just a thin coating of it. Keep everything moist, and then we're going to put down some of our fresh harvested basil there. Just amazing, the aroma and the flavor that stuff has. So it's such a treat to have some of that stuff growing in the house in the wintertime. I mean, it's not a awful lot that we pick, but it's enough to give us the flavor that we're looking for. Then we're going to start with some tomatoes for the next layer. And they actually are starting to look like real tomatoes. I'm pretty excited to see how they taste when they're all cooked up here. But they did rehydrate pretty nice. And you can see the pizzas look pretty good now. Like I said, usually with the margarita pizzas, you put the tomatoes on the top. But we really wanted to keep the moisture in. And we figured the cheese would help that. So I'm just going to put on a quick layer of mozzarella on top of them. And I put pepperoni on mine, and she's got the plain one there, and just a little bit of Parmesan, good Parmesan cheese grated on top for a little bit extra flavor there. So pretty much that's it. It doesn't take long to make things like this up, and they usually are pretty good. So time to put them in the oven. Preheated the oven to 450, and it says to bake them for 15 to 20. And we usually bake them for this size one for 16 minutes. Now, if you do one big one, it's going to take longer. But so there's the first one done at the 16-minute mark. And that looks pretty good. The crust isn't really too brown, but everything else came out nice and brown. And it's nice and crispy.
Looks good.
So throw the other one in, and that'll give that 16 minutes also. So now I'm just gonna cut up the first one, let it cool for 30 seconds there, and just find out it's easiest to just put it on the cutting board to use as a pizza cutter on. We've destroyed so many pans trying to cut it in the pan, and it's just not worth it. So there's the first one all ready to go, and actually I tried a piece of that one, and there's what it looks like. Crust comes out nice. It's a real light crust. It's not a really full flavored crust, but and there's the other one came out of the oven all ready to go. And boy, I have to tell you, those tomatoes really were good. I was pretty amazed. The the flavor that they actually did have. It was almost like putting a fresh tomato on there. So I just thought I'd share this with you because I said a while back I was going to try this, and we did, and we really like it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.